Hello, good evening, all of you. This is Professor Dr. Enin from SRM Madurai College of Engineering and Technology. So, this session we are going to learn about strategic planning process. So, in the previous session, we have learned about what is strategic management all about. In a continuation with that, so this lesson we are going to learn about strategic planning process. So, let us understand what is a strategic planning process. So, what is the salient features of that? So, in today's highly competitive business environment, so budget oriented planning or forecasting planning methods are insufficient for a large corporation to survive and prosper. So, the firm must engage in strategic planning that clearly defines the objectives and assesses both the internal as well as external situations to formulate the strategy and implement the strategy, evaluate the strategy progress, and also make adjustments necessary for the staying in the track and also gaining a competitive advantage. So, if you look at that in this process, a simplified view of the strategic planning process shown here by the following diagram. So, in that, so many other parameters are involved. So, one is the firm must do the strategic planning. So, that must clearly define its objectives and assess both the internal as well as external situations in order to formulate the strategy, implementation of the strategy, and evaluate the progress in order to make the various adjustments that are needed for the achievement of goals and purposes. And this is how the overall picture of strategic planning process looks like. So, if you look at the flow chart, we can easily understand what are the various components of planning process. So, in that, so the first and foremost thing is that a strategic intent. So, what is the strategic intent all about? So, strategic intent takes the form of a number of corporate challenges and opportunities specified as short term projects. So, the strategic intent must convey a significant stretch for the company, a sense of direction which can be communicated to all the employees. It should not focus so much on today's problems, but rather on tomorrow's opportunities. Strategic intent should specify the competitive factors, the factors critical to success in the future. Strategic intent gives a picture of what an organization must get into immediately in order to use the opportunity, so that the strategic intent helps management to emphasize and concentrate on the priorities. So, strategic intent is nothing but the influencing of an organization's resources, potential, and core competencies to achieve what at first may seem to be unachievable, that the goals that can be easily achieved through the competitive environment. So, and the next part of that is the environmental scanning. So, the environmental scanning includes the following components: analysis of the internal environment, that is the firm's environment, then analysis of the firm's industry, that is a micro and also task oriented environment, then analysis of the external macro environment. We normally call it as a pest analysis. So, pest stand for political, economical, then social and technological issues. So, the internal analysis can identify the firm's strengths and weaknesses, and the external analysis reveals opportunities and threats. A profile of the strength, weakness, opportunities, and threats is generated by means of SWOT analysis. And industry analysis can also be performed using a framework developed by Michael Porter, known as the Porter's Five Forces model. So, this framework evaluates entry barriers, supplier customers, substitute products, and industry liability. The next part is that strategy formulation process. In the strategy formulation, it is the development of long range plans for the effective management of environmental opportunities and threats in the light of the corporate strengths and weakness. It includes defining the corporate mission, specifying achievable objectives, developing strategy, and setting policy guidelines. So, when we look at the setting up of the policy guideline, we need to deal with various other aspects like mission, objectives, and strategies. So, what is mission all about? Mission is the purpose or the reason for the organization existence. It tells what company provides to society, either a service like housekeeping or a product like automobiles. Whereas objectives are the end results of the planned activity. They state what is to be accomplished by whom, when, and should be quantified and if possible. So the achievement of the corporate objectives should result in the fulfillment of corporation's missions. And when we look at the strategies, strategy is a complex plan for bringing the organization from a given posture to a desired level of position in a future period of time. So this way we can understand what is the strategy formulation process. So in that the policy is also very very important. So a policy is a guideline for decision making, so that links the formulation of strategy with its implementation. Company use the policies to make sure that the employees throughout the firm so make a decision and take actions and support the corporation's missions, objectives, and strategy. So strategic implementation part is more valuable because ultimately it is the one which is for ensuring that the action is taken according to the formulation process. So it is a process by which strategy and policies are put into action through the development of program, budgets, and procedures. So these process might involve changes within the overall culture, structure, and also the management system of the entire organization. So if you look at what are the various aspects what we have discussed in the implementation processes, one is program. So what is program? It is a statement of the activities or steps needed to accomplish a single use plan. It makes a strategy action intended. It may involve restructuring the corporation, changing the company's internal culture, or beginning a new research effect. Budgets. So a budget in the statement of a corporation program is defined as in terms of dollars or maybe the rupees spent. So it is used in the planning and also the controlling process. So budget is a list of detailed costs and for each and every program which is being executed. So the budget thus not only serves as a detailed plan of the new strategy in action, but also specifies through pro formas, financial statements, and the expected impact on the firm's financial future. Then the procedure comes in place. So procedures, sometimes termed as the standard operating procedures, are a system of sequential steps or techniques that describe in detail how a particular task or job is to be done. So they typically deal with the various activities that must be carried out in order to complete the overall task within the time frame. Then the final part is evaluation and control. So after the strategy is implemented, we need to monitor it properly so that whatever we have put into action is properly working or not as per our expectations. For that purpose, we need to continually measure and evaluate the progress so that the changes can be made if needed to keep overall plan on track. So this is known as the control process or the strategic planning process. While it may be necessary to develop a system to allow the monitoring progress, it is well worth of the effort. Thank you. Thank you very much.